Anthony Slater, our 95.7 Game Insider, Warriors beat writer for The Athletic, does a hell of a job covering the Golden State Warriors for The Athletic. He's big time. I don't know how long he's going to be in the Bay Area. But Anthony Slater joins us. And, Anthony, you want to partake in a game of knockout? First ever game of knockout in 95.7 The Game? Heard you used to ball back in the day.
Yeah, Rancho Cotati, go check. Maybe like 8 points, 10 rebounds a game, something like that.
Double-double.
Number one. Yeah, no, I didn't. The points. Couldn't get the points up to double rebounds. But I feel like you're shortchanging the Bay, saying I'm leaving the Bay. It's a big market. Bay Area is a big market.
I know. I'm kidding, man. I just think highly of you, man. Your work is so good. It's incredible. A lot of Warrior fans enjoy your work. You tell it like it is. You break the game down. You teach us about the game of basketball, which is great. It's not narrative driven here, but we got to get you in a game of knockout. But look, we were just talking about Draymond Green, and you were sitting there in the presser yesterday in the Bill King media room where Draymond Green addressed the chemistry. He said the chemistry is so much better this year. It was hard to come to work last year. What was your take of what Draymond Green said last night about the chemistry and his take on last season coming to work and how hard it was coming to work?
Oh, I mean, they've been saying this since the exit interviews, right? Like, remember how honest they were about how I was actually surprised how honest they were when Jordan Poole was still technically on the roster, saying like the punch ruined the season. Mm-hmm. Remember Steve Kerr's exit interview? So honestly, it was like something we already kind of knew. I mean, the elephant in the room or whatever is like, Draymond was the cause of a lot of it. But he understands that. He's accepted that over time. I mean, the Poole trade alleviated some of that. The Chris Paul, and I know you guys may want to ask me about Chris Paul, but the addition has just gone better. Not even just like on the court, it is working obviously with how the second unit is playing, but off the court, like you cannot find anyone in the organization right now who's not like glowing about the Chris Paul experience through a few weeks.
Well, expand on that, because I was telling Bonte, it feels like to me, one of the great leadership aspects of Steph Curry is that he really empowers people. And instead of like being threatened by other strong individuals, it feels like he likes collaborating with them. And early on, you see him and Chris Paul like side by side, arms around each other. They're all on the same page. And instead of being like an underling, they feel like legitimate partners in crime. You know what I mean? Like they're I don't know. It's just, I feel like Steph Curry has a lot of sway with everyone in the organization, and him, empowering Chris Paul is a big step for this.
Yeah, Chris Paul just like loves conversing, loves talking. I talked to him the other day. He just called himself like an over communicator, and I just think he's really enjoyed the experience of you mentioned Steph, but like Steve Kerr's door is wide open. Steve Kerr, you want to have a 30-minute meeting with him and like really deeply discuss some stuff? Go ahead. Draymond Green, we know he'll sit there and talk. Now, we need to see this team go through adversity, go through losing streaks, go through games where this person thinks they should close over that person, and it's an angry locker room because they lost. And then maybe some of those tensions, will be tested. But right now, they're just like I think they're all loving just where they're all at the stage of their career, but also just how they all like to collaborate, as you mentioned. And you think about Chris Paul, I think when you think of some of his bad breakups in the past, like James Harden's kind of like a passive-aggressive star, right? I think we can all say that, especially this week we could say that. Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, right? I think they just didn't like his overbearing leadership style. I think Chris Paul's watching an environment where he's like, they're welcoming my overbearing leadership style. They want me to, like, command the second unit. They want me to, like, pull guys to the side and do Andre Iguodala-type sideline talks. And Steve Kerr wants to pull all the, and I wrote about it, but Chris Paul thought it was important that part of the reason he accepted to come off the bench is because right before training camp, Steve Kerr brings all 5 starters and Chris Paul into his office, and they sit there for an hour and discuss why they're doing it. And Chris Paul's like, yes, I can accept to come off the bench if we sit here and discuss why it makes sense.
Wow. Anthony Slater here on the Morning Roast on 95.7 The Game. And it was a great piece you wrote on Sunday, Anthony, about that dynamic, about that meeting. You had a great quote in there from Andrew Wiggins. We'll get to Klay in just a second. But Andrew Wiggins, he talked about the finishing lineup, and obviously he wasn't in that finishing lineup against Phoenix. He wasn't in the finishing lineup last night. We see some different combinations to end the games, but Wiggins said something that I think was very important. As long as we're winning, I'm good with it. And I think this team is going to accept that. As long as they're winning, we're going to see all kind of different closing lineups here, but I don't think anybody's going to mope as long as they're winning, Anthony.
Yeah, and within that quote, he also said, I need to rebound more. Mm-hmm. And I do think with him and Kuminga, that does seem to be the statistic that, at least to the coaching staff, signals like what kind of Kuminga, what kind of Wiggins they're getting on a particular night. But yet, Wiggins, I think right now is just he's trying to find his game. And I've seen this plenty. I can remember the year that he exploded in the playoffs. I can remember it was probably like March, being in Orlando. They sit us right next to the visiting bench in Orlando. It's a great seat. And like Wiggins was really kind of slumping at the time. And I just remember being like, I don't know where this season's going for him. He could not seem to find his shot, find his game, find his dribble. And you see it right now, right? He's just like losing his dribble in traffic. I remember opening night, Eric Gordon stripping him. I just think he's trying to find it. We have seen him find it in the past, but he's basically like not a closer for them right now. I think 4 out of 5 games he hasn't been in the closing lineup.
Yeah, that's true. And Kuminga got the closing.
Too, right?
No, it does. You got to win a game. And didn't Steve Kerr, sorry to cut you off, Steve Kerr said this. We're going to go by feel. How's the game flowing? Who's playing the best? And I like that mentality.
It just feels so different than last year, or even like previous years, where it's like sometimes you felt like the young guys were being gifted minutes, or sometimes even when the young guys were playing good, you're like, well, he isn't rewarding them, or there was when Klay was coming back, or at times when Klay wasn't playing well, it was very defiant. Like he's Klay Thompson, he can, he's always going to start, he's always going to be this or that. They're just taking a more serious approach to this season, and it shows in so many different ways, I think.
You brought up Klay Thompson, and it feels like body language, demeanor, all much better. But for me, it's like the floor game, the discernment, shot selection. Mm-hmm. He even put a couple balls on the ground and made plays for others. I know one got called away on the Saric pass, but he made a really nice backdoor pass to Draymond Green. I don't know. I really like where Klay Thompson's at to start off this year. It feels night and day from last year, doesn't it?
I agree with you. You want to know what maybe my favorite play of his so far this season? Remember the extra pass right before half in Sacramento?
Yep.
Or to Kuminga for a three. Like, you think Jonathan Kuminga doesn't thank you. You know what I mean? It's like, wow, Klay Thompson is passing up like a semi-contested three to get me a three right before the buzzer, and Kuminga hits it. And like, that's the type of stuff where you're like, man, it feels like they're in a better place. And I just remember when he hit it, like the entire bench, it was one of those, they like jumped up, leaped up, and like pointed down at him. Like, yes.
Yeah.
But it's not only that, the defense, he's never going to, like, if De'Aaron Fox was playing last night, he's not guarding Fox. They're not going to really like put him on Monk and expect him to stay in front. But Kevin Durant on opening night, various other bigger players so far, he's using the strip move. He got it again last night one time, but like it's kind of Iguodala-like. He'll never have like, Iguodala's success rate, but I just, it seems like he's getting a little craftier on defense, particularly against bigger guys. And
he's boxing out, Anthony, too. Like, that's another thing for me. Like, he maybe doesn't have the overall rebounding numbers, but I see a concerted effort, Kuminga as well. Like, they're actually boxing out a lot more and putting a butt into bodies.
They're locked into their assignments. They're locked into the season, right? This was the story 2 years ago where, remember that 18-2 start? Yep. They were like by far the best defense in the league. And it was like, well, it's kind of like Mike Brown was the coach at the time. And I remember Mike Brown he was a defensive coordinator. He was the assistant coach at the time. He brought this like, metric system that like really graded them in a way that held them accountable. But they just like, part of why they were so good defensively that year is just because like every night the scouting reports were slick and the accountability was there. And what you're saying is right. Like they were boxing out. They were, helping when they needed to. And you see that this year. It's starting to feel a little bit more like 2 years ago. I am not predicting a title. I would not predict the title. But they're just approaching the season like they approached that season.
Yeah, no doubt. That's a great point, Anthony. Buying into their roles. Everybody's buying into their roles, including Dario Saric. How much better is this CP3 trade made by the acquisition of Dario Saric, Anthony?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a help. You would think he kind of needed a lob guy, and I think Trace Jackson Davis, they're trying to maybe like nudge him in, and I'd honestly like to see him more. Because, I mean, not only does he have a skill set they don't have, but I think Chris Paul kind of likes throwing the lob at times.
Right.
But I think Saric, he's comfortable with Saric, obviously, from his Phoenix days, and that pick-and-pop game is really working. I mean, he hit a couple big ones last night, kind of in a swing point of the game, and Saric, it's interesting. Sarge came into the league as like a 3-4, right?
Right.
It reminds me a little of Otto Porter because Otto Porter came into the league at this 3-4, and he was bigger and kind of slower as he aged. And by the time he got to the Warriors, he was like a 4-5. And like Sarge is a 5. He's bigger than I thought he was going to be. Without covering him. Now that I've seen him in person, he's a little sturdier. he struggles to finish inside, and I don't think that's going to change. I just think it's the size, athleticism thing. But when he's lining up a three, you feel good about it. He knows how to play. I mean, this isn't anything that's surprising us, right? Even the day they signed him, we were all like, well, that makes a lot of sense. Yep. So it's just working.
You know, it's only 5 games, and Kuminga steals a lot of the headlines, but I've been so impressed with Moses Moody. Like, you know, points are up, field goal percentage up, turnovers down, rebounding up, assist numbers up, that great block last night. His floor game, he's doing all the gritty stuff, and he's efficient, and he's got a quick little 3-point hoist, and he moves the ball around. I feel like Moses Moody's flying under the radar. He has really taken a nice step forward.
I mean, he's one of the best shooters on the team right now, and has been since, last March. Now, it's like the volume isn't completely there because the playing time hasn't been completely there, but he's basically, since the middle of the last season, been like a 45% three-point shooter. And he feels like one when he lines up a shot, doesn't it? And I mean, you're like, yeah, that's probably going down.
He's got a quick little hoist, too. Him and Saric, the quick little pocket pass, and boom, gets rid of it at the end of the shot clock multiple times in early parts of the year.
Yeah, and you remember what Josh Okogie did to the Warriors opening night?
Oh, yeah.
I know that a few of the coaches even, like, they watched that game and they, like, talked to Moses Moody about, like, that type of player. Like, just crash the rebound, tip a ball, like, hit it back. Like, look at the way, like, Okogie, the coaches that felt Okogie completely changed that game for the Suns. And it's like, that's the type of player they want Moses Moody to be. Coming immediately, like, he doesn't come in and ease into a game, and I think that's been a problem with Kuminga in the past. And, like, Kuminga is, like, I'm very, you should be pleased with where Kuminga is. But Kuminga sometimes will get in the game and kind of have to get a rhythm. Mm-hmm. Moses Moody comes into the game, and he's sprinting up and down the court. He's sprinting in for rebounds, tips, blocks. He'll take a three right away. And that's who he's got to be in the league. And I think he's discovering that.
Anthony, before we let you go, it sounds like you're at an airport getting ready to travel to Oklahoma City. And, of course, Friday marks the start of the inaugural NBA in-season tournament.
All right, I want to win
different courts,
I want to win
different looks. What are your thoughts about the in-season tournament? What do you think about it as group play begins on Friday?
Court, I don't know. The funny thing is, I had heard a while ago, like, hey, they're going to have different courts for it, and like maybe like March Madness style. When March Madness tips off and like every single court, it'll say like on the side what city you're in, but other than that, it basically I thought they were going to do that, and I thought that made sense to me, right? This is odd looking, but we'll see. I'm going to give it a chance. I already am like envisioning walking into Oklahoma City and like my eyes hurting looking at the court. There are a few out there that I just don't think it's going to look good. But anyway, I kind of like the idea of it. It'll probably juice up the games a little bit. The NBA is throwing a lot of marketing money at it, aren't they?
Right, they are.
TV.
The commercial.
Yeah.
Draymond predicting last night with his little hit, predicting the group winners. I mean, it's becoming a big deal with the NBA Cup, the trophy, and everything. I get it. They're trying to make the regular season mean something, but we'll see how it plays out, Anthony. I'm not sure how it's going to play out.
I'll say this. I kind of am excited for the Vegas weekend. They're doing a Final Four in Vegas. They're going to have, they'll have like, they're going to try to hype it almost like a finals. Obviously, nobody's going to care that much, but it's just going to be interesting. And to be honest, I wouldn't mind a little mid-season Vegas trip.
Oh man,
I'll be up there in December for a softball tournament, the Nationals. So I'm always down for a Vegas trip, buddy.
Well, are you going to be there during the Final Four?
No, but I want to win this cup. I want to win this cup.
That's what Anthony Slater was saying. He wants to be there for the tournament Final Four. You're talking about a random Vegas trip.
December 3rd.
Yeah, that's not when the Final Four is happening.
Yeah, but he's saying about, like a random Vegas trip. Right, who isn't down for a Vegas?
I guess. Bet on black, Anthony. Bet on black if the Warriors make it. I get it. And real quick before we let you go, OKC. They blew a lead last night to the Pelicans. They were up 19 after the first quarter. They're supposedly one of the up-and-coming teams. Chet Holmgren, of course, Alexander, Josh Giddey. What do you make of this new-look OKC team?
I like them. They're interesting. They're obviously very young. I know a lot of people within the Thunder organization, and they're definitely trying to, like, hit the brakes on the hype machine, right? It's like, hey, let's still look at the ages of these guys. You mentioned their starting lineup, which I think fits good together, but we're talking like 21, 22, 23, rookie, second-year player, third-year player. They are like, they, I think, were better than they expected last year, even getting into the playoffs, almost sneaking into the playoffs. So they, I don't think, love the idea that, they're supposed to leap to like a 3-4 seed, compete with the Warriors of the world. but they're coming. You know, like I like what they're building. I think everybody can see what they're building is good. Holmgren is unique. I think he's going to be really good. He had a 7-block game already. It was like a second career game. You know, I was actually talking to Kevon Looney about them the other day. He was like kind of interested in playing Holmgren. He'd never faced him before. It's an interesting matchup. He was talking about how they do a lot of like guard-to-guard screens. They got a lot of playmakers. Even Holmgren can make plays.
Right.
Diddy, Shea, Jalen Williams, like everyone on their team can take somebody off the dribble. So they're a tough team to play. They're interesting. I like them as a matchup. You have a little bit of the past because the Warriors-Thunder used to be a rivalry. That always is just like a little sprinkle in the matchup. So that's good. You know who I think they're better than? Memphis. I don't know
no doubt.
Talking about that.
Hey, Memphis
is bad right now.
Dude, they actually miss Dillon Brooks. Listen.
They miss
No, Anthony, real quick. I don't even want to go there right now. We can do that next week about Memphis. I got plenty of material for them. Sacramento before
will they have a win by the time we talk to you next?
Yeah, I don't know if they will. Jaren Jackson Jr. is getting dunked on by everybody right now. They just paid Desmond Bane over $200 million. Not looking good so far. But Sacramento, before we let you go, you cover the Kings sometimes. Sometimes when you're off time, you live up there in Sacramento. I'm not mad at you. Are they in for a regression? Speaking of regressions.
I don't think. I mean, a regular season regression. No, I don't really believe so. I like they played well last night. They held the Warriors down defensively without De'Aaron Fox, and I mean, there's continuity. There's a hunger that you can just feel. Like anytime you watch a Kings game like this, they don't take regular season games off. That's why they won as many games as they did last year. Just because like Mike Brown just has those dudes ready. Just like Mike Brown used to have the Warriors defense ready on a regular basis. Keegan Murray, I think, is nudging towards a leap. Malik Monk is, one of the, more explosive 6 men in the league. Sabonis is a regular season player. Again, like when we're talking, like, do I think they're a championship contender? Probably not. And part of that is because I don't think Sabonis in a playoff series can necessarily get them over the hump. But I just think they're going to win a lot of regular season games because of the way they attack the regular season. And Fox. Fox is awesome.
Fox is awesome.
Yeah, he just is. So I think I'll just say this. I don't think they're a playing team. I think they're a top 6.
All right. I don't know if they're a 3 seed though. And 48 wins, maybe. We'll see.
That was 48 wins shouldn't be a 3 seed.
Right.
They would tell you that.
Right.
I mean, like they just like backed into a 3 seed. 48 in a normal year should be like maybe 6.
I hear you. Anthony, safe travels. Always fun having you on. We'll do it again next week here on the Morning Roast as the Warriors begin the season 4-1. 5-game check, 4-1. That's not bad. Not bad at all. Anthony, safe travels, man, at OKC.
Yes, sir. A lot of road trips in the Phoenix airport now. I'll talk to y'all later.
All right, brother.